is that only 17% of borrowers go back to the same lender.
What's called the berry button, big red button that I hit.
Hey, remember that?
Right?
And, oh yeah, I love.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat the podcast. And it is our pleasure to have on the show today, all the way from beautiful San Diego, Andrew Pawlak of Leadpops. How you doing, Andrew?
Doing very well, Fabi. I'm doing great. How about you?
I am, on top of the world, as we were just discussing, with my dog t-shirt. This is my dog for all the people on YouTube who watch our videos. This is my dog, as you guys know. But Andrew, let me ask you a question. You're in San Diego, right?
Yeah.
So it's like 8 o'clock in the morning over there.
Yeah.
Are you like an early riser? Because like most people do not agree to do a podcast at 8 a.m. with me. Just for the record, you're like the first. Is there, are you like one of those guys like me who wakes up at 4 o'clock in the morning and gets going?
Yeah. I was up at about 4:45 this morning. So 8 o'clock, I've been up for several hours at this point. I'm a morning guy. I told you I got kids. So
yeah.
As soon as work's done, about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I get home and like it's be a dad time and try to not be the dad on my phone checking my emails and on social media. So I try to get as much as I can in early and kind of grind as focused as I can be throughout the day.
There is a lot of talk about this whole work-life balance stuff recently. Have you been kind of hearing the murmur around work-life balance, and there is no work-life balance and there is a work-life balance? And I'm kind of the school of thought, by the way, just for the record, I don't think there is really a work-life balance. I think you just gotta make your own time. You know what I mean? As when my kids were growing up, I coached my daughter on her travel soccer league. So, as busy as I was, I still made the time because it was important to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's a work-life balance thing or is just something that's important to you. What do you think?
I think you make time for what's important, right? It's a decision that you make. And for me, starting this company, starting Leadpops, I was doing the 16, 18-hour work days from when it started all the way through like 2018 when I had my first baby. And it was a little bit of a transition phase to go from that like grind and be crazy kind of work mode to now it's like I got to turn it off and be there for my kids. And I've learned how to do it a lot better. It took me a little bit of time, but I've gotten to the point where, hey, I don't like the idea of trying to be like the best CEO possible, but then kind of behind the scenes in secret, I'm like a crappy dad. And, it was really important. Hey, can I be as good at the dad stuff as I try to be at work and constantly working on it, right? I've not figured it all out, but one of the things is get home, turn it off, don't check my email, don't sit there staring at my phone. I've only got 3 hours between 5 o'clock in the afternoon and 8 o'clock when my kids are asleep. Can I give them that 3 freaking hours and the weekends? And I've done my best to make sure I do that, not to say I don't grab my phone and sneak in a glance every here and there, but it's better than it was, let's just say. And I've kind of figured it out. So it makes my wife happy too, because happy wife, happy life. I don't know if you've heard that one, but it's very true.
Dude, I've been married, what is it now? 28 years?
Okay.
So okay. I mean, I've heard that, lived it, and passed on to it. I mean, it's like,
yeah, now you're talking about it.
At this point, I'm just give up. Like, okay, whatever you want, just just have it. I don't care.
Yes, dear. Yeah, you learn very quickly, and it's like happy wife, happy life. It's not a suggestion as much as it's a recommendation. It's sometimes it can be a threat, right?
Nice thing is I know my wife doesn't listen to my podcast, so I can say whatever I want, having full safety that she'll never hear it. You know what I mean?
No.
Unless one of her cousins in England tells her that, because they listen to the show every now and then, they'll tell her what Fabi said. But other than that, she won't know about it.
Your secret's safe with me. I hope it
Thanks, brother.
Goes both ways.
So you're out in San Diego. Have you been always in San Diego? You grew up in San Diego, or?
Yeah, I born in Texas, lived there for a year as a baby, so that doesn't count, right? Moved out here, family moved out here early and never really left. I mean, travel around a little bit, but kind of a San Diego guy at this point. Was very interested in moving out of California, to be honest with you, for some various reasons. It just seems like it's kind of getting a little crazy out here.
I'm hearing that.
But the business is keeping me kind of anchored here. It's like we're in hyper growth mode, growing the team, growing the office. It does not feel like the appropriate time for me to bail out and move out to like Nevada or Texas or something like that, even though my heart tells me I want to do that. It's just not a good decision to make at this point in time. I got to tough it out a little bit longer out here. Could be worse though.
The California, I mean, the San Diego, forget California. I mean, because I've done the major cities in California. I love the weather in San Diego. I mean, you just can't get like, you know what I mean? Like you guys are always between like what, 71 and 73, no humidity. There's not a lot of things to complain about when it comes to the weather, right?
That's the big draw. I mean, that's everybody I talk to. Everyone, if it wasn't for that, it wouldn't be that awesome, right? If the weather was crappy here, it would not be. I mean, that is what keeps people here. That's what brings them here, and that's why it's a little bit too expensive to live out here. But you know, as you look around the country, it's kind of hard to outdo, you know, that aspect of the quality of life you get out here. So yeah,
I'm in Washington D.C., right? So I'm in the suburbs. And so to us, there's always like these extreme weathers. Like literally the other day when I was working out at my trainer's gym, it was 77 degrees inside his gym with 85% humidity. It's like the humidity is more than the weather and temperature. That's what we're living with in DC.
Yeah, we can't handle that stuff out here. I'll tell you, like if it's in the 50s, you already got, I'm in a beanie and gloves. You know, I'm not even exaggerating like that. We're not made for that stuff. So yeah, it creates somewhat of a softie. You know, there's a lot of softies out here in Southern California. We can't handle the weather.
Yeah. Now, don't come to the East Coast, Andrew. You'll stay. I mean, like think Texas is the border. You know what I mean? You don't want to get past Texas. So, Andrew, let's talk about Leadpops, man. I've done a little bit of research on the company, right? Pretty cool stuff that you guys have been doing. Now, you guys are coming up on 10 years, or you celebrate 10 years. Which one is it?
10 years in 2021. So we started the business, created an LLC on LegalZoom in 2011. So it's been 10 years. That's how the company got started. And you know, it's been a grind, but I love what I do. And you know, it's finally turning into something. It feels like it took a bit of time to get to this point, but it's growing, and it could always be bigger and better and faster for me. So we're always, you know, chipping away at how to make things happen.
That's interesting what you just said, though. I mean, think about what you just said. As a CEO of a company that's been around for 10 years, that's pretty well recognized in the industry, right? You're saying you're now starting to feel like you're growing.
Oh, yeah.
From an outsider view, Andrew, I mean, I've heard about your company for years, right? Like Leadpop, right? I just didn't know what it was. Being an older mortgage banker guy, right? It's like, yeah, whatever. I go out, shake hands, and tell dirty jokes, you know what I mean? And smoke cigars with these realtors. I get my deals.
Yep.
But
I hear you.
But I mean, it feels like, I mean, you're still got much higher aspirations and goals as your CEO of Leadpops. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh man, $1 billion company. I can make fun of me all you want. That's what I'm going for. We got a long way to go.
Good for you, man. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, so look, you started Leadpop. I guess it was you, and was it anybody else, or was it just you in your basement? And you said, I want to create a company that generates leads as a funnel. Is that what you did?
Yeah, so I'm an idea guy. I've got ideas, but I can't build them. So you gotta align yourself when you're a guy like me with someone who can code your idea. If it's software, if it's web tech, if it's mobile stuff, you got to find someone who can code it, who can get behind your vision and your idea, and you got to be able to obviously offer a portion of the company. You go into business together, right? So it can't be one of these like, hey, you'll get paid one day. You know, the right way to do it. And I've learned a lot of developers kind of get screwed over by the guy that's supposed to be me. My partner and I went into it, and it was a pretty solid, I think, offering in terms of the percentage of the business. And we said, hey, I've got the idea. I'll make it happen. You just need to build this idea. We worked on it together for about 18 months and launched it in officially, like the prototype was live in 2012.
Okay.
So, I had this idea to create a better way to capture leads online than what mortgage folks are still doing today in many cases. Insurance, real estate, there's certain verticals and certain businesses where what we do makes a lot of sense. Right now we deal with mostly mortgage, but that was the concept was, hey, there's a better way to capture leads and convert leads on the internet than trying to give people a 1003 application and thinking that a loan application is the way to convert a lead. So we've been riding that idea ever since and just building on it and making it better.
I got to ask you, Andrew, I mean, what sparked that idea in you? I mean, what was that moment? I mean, do you still remember it? I mean,
oh yeah, absolutely.
What was it?
I'd co-founded a mortgage website company prior. So 2006, I started a company called 220 Marketing. As a co-founder there, we did mortgage website templates. All of our business was coming from other mortgage website companies. We at the time had created a mortgage website that had some neat lead capture and lead generation mechanisms within the website. 2006, we were super hot, grew the company quickly. All of our business came from other mortgage website companies. By 2009, very little innovation went back into the business. My partner, who was the majority owner, wasn't interested in kind of developing the product. What we originally launched with in 2006, which was awesome, is still the same thing we had in 2009. I was the VP of marketing and sales, co-founder, and I'm a product guy. So I'd originally worked with our developers to create that website product. As a sales guy, I just wanted to make it as awesome as I could so I can get easy yeses. I wanted to get on the phone, do a presentation, and the loan officer would say, absolutely, sign me up. By 2009, again, it had stagnated, and I had this idea of, we create these mortgage websites. Lead generation is super important for us. Our clients need leads. Why don't we continue to innovate on our lead generation solution? And I had this idea of, instead of making things up, I'm going to take a look at LendingTree. I'm going to take a look at Lower My Bills. I'm going to look at some of these big companies and see if there's anything they're doing that we can learn from, being a company that creates mortgage website templates. Sure enough, when I looked at what they were doing, I saw a product in and of itself. I saw the way LendingTree was capturing leads. It just made a lot of sense to me. There's this very smart approach to how they collected information, the layout of the page, the way the form interacted with the borrower, all this really unique stuff I saw LendingTree and Lower My Bills doing. Nobody else was doing it like that. Right. I had this idea for Leadpops. I brought it up to my partner. I thought it could at the time be a feature or a product under our umbrella. He laughed at me, said, stupid idea, stupid name, get back to work. He was a majority owner. His uncle funded the company. I just looked at him and said, will do. And that was my key out the window. You know, I wanted to leave and start my own business. He and I already had not aligned on a lot of different things in terms of how to grow the company. So I resigned, and about a year and a half later, we had our prototype live, and I was on the phone cold calling loan officers from my kitchen table, trying to talk to them about lead funnels and conversion and landing pages. And it was a little bit of a struggle because 2012, nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. So,
but it's also a different mortgage market also. I mean, I don't think we can kind of like not talk about 2012. I mean, from the 2008 to 2012 market, I mean, we're talking about a lot of FHA business, you know what I mean? Not really like the real estate boom that we're experiencing in the last 24 months. So it wasn't like, I mean, so how were you like, I kind of see you in a desert, right? Kind of like walking around with this idea in your head, trying to get a loan officer to convince them to pay me, you know, $50 a month or whatever, and I'll get you some leads.
It wasn't, I mean, it was a desert. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. I'm talking about lead conversion and lead funnels and landing pages. These words were not even really known with loan officers at the time. So it was like, what the hell are you even talking about? The few people that I did sign up, now I had to be, because we were a bootstrapped company. It was just my partner and I. Now I'm the customer service guy. Now we're having to like build these things for them. So it's hard to keep up with the people I am selling. So it was very quick. I very quickly realized that if I don't land a whale and land a big partner quickly, then I'm gonna have to go look for a job, and I didn't really want to do that. So you know, some things happened, the stars aligned. I ended up landing a partnership with Zillow in 2012 to help them rebuild their mortgage marketplace. Okay. And that kind of set the company off on a trajectory that we're still kind of on today. So, you know, having that relationship with Zillow, helping them rebuild their entire mortgage marketplace between 2012 and 2013, using this prototype product we had developed, was kind of like the catalyst to everything that followed. So.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, we're way off course, but fine. I don't mind being off course, but this is what I love about the show. I mean, what you just talked about is literally what I try to tell people is like, you never know where the journey is going to lead you unless you go out the door. You know what I mean? You just got to go out the door, man, and start walking, and then things happen. And as long as you're out there with the right motive and the right incentives, people are going to line up, man. It's just inevitable. I mean, you're talking about,
you got to swing, right? Closed mouths don't get fed. You got to swing to hit the ball, and you got to understand you might whiff 10 times, and on the 11th swing, when you thought you might give up, that's when you just hit it out of the park, and that happens. Not to say I've ever really hit it out of the park, but I've had a couple good doubles and triples, and you know, I've had some success, but it takes a lot of failure and understanding that, hey, that's part of it, and don't don't get yourself too caught up when things aren't going your way, because sometimes, and a lot of times, it ends up that weird like hiccup that you felt was just such a roadblock and so took you off course is the actual course. Like that was the direction that led to this next awakening or this next moment that is the big opportunity. But it's at the time when it's happening and you're struggling, it's really hard to look at it that way. So I kind of over the years trained myself to be a little bit more stoic and not get too excited when things are going good and not get too down when things aren't, and just try to keep an even keel. And it's been good for my mental state, to be honest.
A friend of mine calls that the lasagna vibe. Where you just kind of like that little lasagna ripple, you know what I mean? You don't get too excited, you don't get too depressed, you kind of keep that ripple going, you know what I mean?
Call me lasagna, call me Garfield, man. That's me for sure.
That's awesome. So did you do mortgages? I mean, or did you just come up with this idea to create websites and Leadpops? Or I mean, was there an alignment in the mortgage industry in your mind?
You know what? I started out in sales. I started out at 2004. I was selling. My first like real job was I got into sales, didn't go to school. My parents are super educated, and dad said, hey, you better get into sales. If you're not going to go to school, if you want to have any sort of a decent career or living, you better get into sales or go back to school, you know? And I didn't want to go back to school. So started looking for sales jobs. I was working at Blockbuster Video at the time. I was like, this sucks. I don't want to work at Blockbuster Video any longer. It's the worst job ever. I'm sure it can be worse, but I did not enjoy that place.
Angry customers, a lot of angry customers.
Oh my God, all the time. Like,
I'm not gonna rewind my tape. I don't have time.
and let alone the late fees. Are you kidding me?
They got sued over the late fees. You know that, but the class action lawsuit against Blockbuster. I was used to wonder, like I wasn't late, but I saw this like $1, $2 thing. I was like, okay, just pay it. Just give me the next video that I need for the weekend.
Yeah, it adds up, right?
It does, man. It does.
So I got into sales, got a sales job selling real estate websites at a fast growing company in San Diego. Didn't know what the hell phone sales was, didn't know what cold calling was, didn't know what realtors did or what the hell real estate was really all about. All I knew is they wanted me to get on the phone and start cold calling real estate agents anywhere from 150 to 200 times a day. Just pick up the phone, call them, set up a demo, show them this real estate website product, and they will buy this real estate website product if you're any good at doing that demo. So that was 2004. I mean, very little social media in existence at that point in time. And it was really, you call up a real estate agent, you walk them through a sales pitch on why they need to have a website as a realtor. And then they sign up for like $50 a month or $100 a month to buy this real estate website product. I got really good at it quickly. There's over 100 salespeople there. I was the youngest person they ever hired. Within 6 months, I was the #1 sales guy at the company. Like really took that seriously. Like, I don't want to go back to Blockbuster Video. This is like sink or swim, bro. You better get good at sales. So I started listening to Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and like practicing my scripts in the mirror and all this craziness. And I got pretty decent at it. And I had a lot of ideas on how to make that product better. Like that was on all the time what I'm thinking about. I'm on the phone. I could sell it if it did this. I could come, like, why don't we do that? And I would go home and I would like tinker with their websites and do little things. Like I'm not a coder, but certain things you could even do back then that you would log into like the back end of their website to like make it perform better if you kind of knew what you were doing. And I taught myself what to kind of do. And before you knew it, I just got this entrepreneurial bug. I started realizing like, holy shit, these people have 15,000 clients paying them $100 a month. Do the math on what that means. Like it just blew my mind. And I've ever since then was like, I'm going to do this myself. I can sell. I'm good at product development. I just need to find myself a coder. Who the hell can code my ideas? And that's, since then, it's been 17 years. That's what I do. So
no, you know, the funny thing about sales is that I think most people don't like that uncomfortable feeling of selling, right? Because there is that bit of like that leap of faith almost where there's no ground, there's no net. Either you're going to sink or you're going to make it to the other side.
Yeah.
And that leap of faith is the only difference between amazing salespeople and the people that want to say kind of stay safety in the background and don't want to make that jump. And they can be in the sales industry. I've been doing sales now. I just doing this. I got my book coming out in September, and I've been in sales now for 34 years. So 1987, I got in this business. You know what I mean? Not the mortgage business, but
just sales, right?
Sales, pure commission. Like if you don't, you know what I mean? You don't eat if you don't close that deal.
Yep. Earn the boats, baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way it is. But so let's go back to the mortgage industry a little bit. You guys have now been in the operations, 2011, 10 years. In your view, I mean, obviously the industry's changed, but obviously, I mean, or it feels like there's more technical gadgets available for the mortgage lender and the mortgage loan officer. Is that an accurate statement?
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a lot of folks in the mortgage world, and whenever there's a big market like that, a couple 100,000 loan officers, and real estate is even crazier, 1.5 million realtors out there, companies come up with all kinds of stuff to sell. And it's like, hey, can I monthly subscription basis, can I create some value for you? And that becomes an issue because, loan officers a lot of times trying to figure out like what's good, what isn't. This shiny object I heard about, everybody's like doing this over here. And it creates a challenge though for them to commit to something and be persistent and really stick with something to make it work. So we're, as a company in this space, that's something we always have to kind of do a better job at, is getting your attention and also creating value for you that lasts. And really for us, it's, can I help you close more loans? Really, can I help you get leads? Leads are nice, but are those leads closing? Like, I'm hyper interested in not just capturing leads for you, but what can I do to make sure that when you do get leads from a Leadpops solution, a marketing service that we're providing, like, are you good at follow-up? Like, what's your script look like? What are you saying? How many times did you call that lead? Are you good about referring those leads to realtors that you work with? Because that's its own little business module that you should be good at, is understanding when you do consumer direct lead gen, this now can support your realtor business quite a bit because you've got now that value add. So just paying attention to all that stuff matters. But yeah, there's a lot of tools out there, a lot of people fighting for their attention, and it creates a challenge, I think, for loan officers to know what they should be focusing on and not jumping into every new ad that pops up onto their Instagram or Facebook, because there's something new you're going to see multiple times every night if you're scanning through that stuff.
So, I mean, Leadpop is not like what I would call it. Look, I mean, and just let's talk about me for a few seconds, because I've been doing mortgages now since '94, right? So I'm an old-fashioned loan officer guy, right? Didn't really understand the CD model up until I got to Carrington, maybe. And then I began to see the CD model, and then Pacific Union and Planet. I mean, they all were really huge on these CD models, right?
Yep.
I began to kind of see it more and more. What I noticed, though, was that the tech stack that all these companies were using were these standard other vendors, right? That bum. We got A, B, and C always. But it didn't have a company like Leadpops as a standard operating procedure on their tech stack. I mean, why is that? Why is that overlooked so often? Like, when I read your website, when I read about Leadpops, when I began to really understand what you guys were doing, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. Like, why wouldn't you have a Leadpop kind of system on your website so that you don't have to pay for leads? You can sell, I mean, excuse me, have organic leads yourself.
That's the $1 million question, right? So here's what we look at is you're buying leads from some middleman company who does things in a very smart, specific kind of way. You look at it and you can say, hey, maybe I can't cut off our need to buy leads from these guys because we have to get X amount of leads. It's maybe a couple thousand leads a month to feed our sales team.
Right.
But could we, instead of not just replacing that, could we create some of our own leads? Maybe we now have to buy 800, but we've captured and generated 200 of our own. And we find that the leads we generate ourselves are closing at a much higher rate and they're higher quality than the leads we're buying from some middleman company. It's about having the right education and understanding on the marketing team and on the consumer direct and lead gen side of that business that, hey, you don't have to just do all this through a middleman. You could be doing a lot of it yourself. And over time, you could possibly wean yourself completely off the need to buy leads from another company. But when you're starting out, you don't want to cut off what's paying the bills. It's just a matter of starting to kind of roll it out and implement and test, like, hey, we're doing an email blast every week to 10,000 consumers. Could we take the same approach that Quicken Loans is using with their email marketing? Basically doing exactly what Lending Tree and Lower My Bills and all these big lead gen companies are doing. They're doing it for themselves, So it's just a matter of having the right people, I think, in place at these companies. When we did business with Zillow to build out their mortgage marketplace, they paid for Leadpops, and same with Bankrate. Bankrate paid for Leadpops on behalf of their advertisers. Back when Zillow was covered in mortgage ads, they changed their business model to selling leads after we fixed their lead conversion problem. They used to be covered in ad space. So when you clicked on an ad off of Zillow, it would take you to a lender's landing page.
Right.
Zillow said, no more of that. Your landing pages are terrible. We're going to pay for you to use Leadpops because it's in our best interest that these clicks you're getting from Zillow convert into leads at the highest rate possible. So,
wow. So back to the question is, I want to, so I know my audience, right? And they probably they may have heard lead pops, but they didn't do the research that I just did in the last few days, right?
Yeah.
So walk me through a lead pop. Like, what is lead pop, right? Obviously, we know it's lead generation for your website. Got that. So what does it actually do that right now my website at First Option Mortgage is not doing?
Okay, absolutely. Great question. So there's a way to convert clicks into leads. Like, we need to talk to people. We need, as a loan officer, I need to be able to build relationships with people who are finding me online. I'm doing social media. They come to my website because they Googled me. They talked to one of my real estate agents. My real estate agent said, hey, talk to my guy, Fabi. He's awesome. That's not a slam dunk. That's not a now I have a closed loan. That is a consumer who now knows about Fabi, who in many cases doesn't just pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, send me a link to your loan application. I'm ready to go. They will many times say, okay, I'm going to look up this Fabi guy and see who he is. I want to see, especially in this day and age, I want to check out his reviews. I want to learn a little bit about Fabi. And by the way, my sister told me I got to talk to her girl, Shirley. So I'm probably going to look up Shirley too and just kind of compare and see what I find before I make any kind of commitment. So these things are happening behind the scenes. Many times loan officers don't even think about this, like what's going on prior to that customer getting in touch with you, that were the steps to leading up to them to actually you having that conversation. There's all these behind the scenes things happening. So loan officers are working with realtors. They're on social media, they're posting, they're getting some traffic to their own website or to their loan officer page. They're doing email marketing, all this stuff to kind of create attention and for people to see them. There's nothing on the receiving end of those clicks typically to convert that person into a lead. Meaning, if I click onto your website, how are you capturing my information in a way that's very easy for me as a consumer to provide my information to you? That's not a loan application. So if I just found you on Google, my realtor said, hey, Fabi's a great guy, I don't just click on your website and fill out a loan app. Contact forms don't work very well. That's like a very old school way of trying to get a lead off of your website. It's one step above sign my guest book from like 1999 days, like on websites. So there's a way that LendingTree, Lower My Bills, Zillow, Bankrate, all these big players in the industry, and really only one big mortgage company that figured it out because they had a really smart CEO that comes from a marketing world, Loan Depot.
Yeah.
Very smart guy, right? He gets lead gen very much because he came from that background. Everybody else in the mortgage world is trying to give you a whole bunch of stuff to read about loans, FHA, VA, read a bunch of stuff on my site. And now here's a link to my loan application. That's a big ask. I don't know you, never talked to you before. I just found you on Google, or even if a realtor said, hey, talk to these folks, they're cool people. That's not a slam dunk. We got to have some way to convert those people that is not just asking them to fill out a loan application. And that's what these big companies have figured out, that there's a psychology, what happens post-click. There's a way to present that page. There's a way to present the messaging. There's questions that you ask. There's questions that you don't ask. There's internet user psychology we have to understand. There's certain things people don't feel comfortable giving you right off the bat. If I hit your page, I clicked, and the first thing you're asking me to do is to create an account or to give you my name, email, phone number, and tell you where I live, or I see any inkling of give me your social security number, which is insane to ask. These are all things that scare people off. So what you do is you create a buffer. You ask easy questions, about 12 to 20 easy questions presented in a way that's fun. It's interactive. The questions kind of appear and disappear in a way that kind of keeps you pulled into the process. At the end, you ask for contact information, and it's proven if I can get you that far into the process, you're a lot more likely to give me your contact info at the end of it. That is called a lead funnel. That is a landing page.
The question, man. I mean, this is amazing, right? So once again, I come back and I my mind is real simple, Andrew. I'm not a complicated guy. I don't know if you figured that out about me. I mean, I got a shirt. I got my dog on my shirt. Think about it, right? Jeans underneath. But if it's what you just said, I mean, in my mind, compared to paying thousands of dollars for lead generation, why wouldn't I just do this? I mean, why wouldn't every mortgage person like instantly say, I mean, in your view, what's the Achilles heel here? What's the stopping? They don't believe you, or it's too much work?
Well, there's a couple pieces. What I described to you is the foundation, right? So there's two pieces to this puzzle. Well, there's actually three, but let's talk about the two right now. Okay. What I described to you is the conversion, right? So that's where you want to drive people. you still got to drive people to it. You got to get clicks there. How you get clicks there is entirely up to the loan officer or the mortgage company to drive that traffic. And in that situation, not everybody's doing marketing. Not everybody understands how to post on social media or how to send out an email blast, because that capture mechanism is fantastic, but you got to get the mice to it to eat the cheese.
Got it.
If the mice aren't coming, nobody, the trap is great, but it doesn't do anything for you either.
Right.
So that process to get traffic to the page is something that some loan officers struggle with. Some mortgage companies don't know how to do, which is why my company actually does marketing for loan officers and for mortgage companies to drive the traffic. It's like, we come with the best tools to convert leads. Don't let anybody take a penny from you unless they've talked to you about that conversion tool and how to convert leads, because otherwise they're just spending your money and getting a whole bunch of clicks that turn into nothing. And that's where I see a huge problem in this industry. So way too many marketing experts and marketing people running around spending money to drive traffic, to get clicks, to get eyeballs, to place in Google, to do all this and that, but they don't think about, well, what happens when the person actually clicks? So then that click turns into nothing. And then an incorrect assumption is made, an assumption that, oh, that direct mail campaign didn't work. Or, you know what, we tried that Google stuff. It didn't produce anything for us. So Google doesn't work. Or, you know what, I did Facebook ads, tried it for a couple of months. I got nothing out of it. So Facebook doesn't work. It's like, no, some pieces were missing. You probably got a lot of traffic and got a lot of hits, but the problem is those hits and clicks didn't convert into anything because you didn't have the right page and the right funnel on the receiving end of it. So there's this a lot of like technical stuff people have to understand and be able to do. Some of our clients are super tech savvy. They have a marketing person. It's plug and play, super easy for them to run with our stuff. Other people come to us and say, hey, great tools. I love it, but I want to focus on closing loans. I'm good at loans. I'm not like good at this marketing stuff. Like, I don't want to log into Facebook ever unless I'm like posting a picture of my cat. I don't want to sit there figuring out how to run Facebook ads. Can you guys do it for me? Which is what we've over the years now layered into our offering is we can do it for you. We have marketing experts in-house. We run your Google ads. We'll run your Facebook. We'll do your reputation. We'll help you get 5-star reviews. All of these things are interconnected, but we're coming to you with the right tools that we originally developed for Zillow and Bankrate to make sure if we're spending your money on marketing, we're actually converting those clicks into leads.
So you're talking about missed opportunities. That's what I was hearing what you just said. I mean, in my mind, I kept hearing missed opportunities, right? It's like, 100%. I spent this money on Google. I spent this money on Facebook. I did this. I dropped $1,000 there. And then I just sat there waiting for the phone to ring, almost like metaphorically.
Nailed it. No, you nailed it. That is exactly what you did. And not you, but this is what people are doing. They're like,
I've done that also. I'm guilty as painted. Okay.
Okay. Well, there you go. So that's to me. And I'm passionate about this stuff because it's a really, really expensive mistake. It's not just the $1,000 that was wasted on ads. It's the maybe 1 or 2 deals that you should have closed that would have resulted in, I don't know, $3,000 a piece or 5 or 7 or whatever the deal size is based on your market. It's a really expensive mistake to make, and to just keep jumping from one marketing effort to another without ever fixing this core problem, which Zillow and Bankrate and all these big companies would be out of business if they hadn't fixed this, or they'd still be selling ads on their websites, but they fixed the conversion problem. They figured out how to capture data, and now they sell leads to mortgage companies. And then you look at the same mortgage company buying a lead from Bankrate, and you look at them doing it the complete opposite way still in their own marketing, and you think, why aren't you just doing the same thing Bankrate's doing?
Yeah. That's just, to me, it's, I mean, once again, being just a simple guy, I see this big picture thing, and it's like, it's a huge miss that not only myself, but a lot of guys in the industry have been making, because I guess lead buying, right, seems a lot easier, right? Because the leads come in, my guys call them, we have the CRM, blah, 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 blah. And I can have a 2% conversion rate because I know that's the industry norm. If it's greater than 2%, I'm looked at as a hero, right?
Yeah.
And everybody's happy, right? Because it matches the pro forma that I put together. But I mean, what you're talking about is the organic lead generation, which I do believe, by the way, from my own experience, is a better quality lead, right? And you're talking about actually creating more organic leads through Leadpops, being able to come in through your website, and then how to manage them properly, so that the opportunities that were missed are no longer missed.
100%. And then all of a sudden you take a step back and like, hey, maybe we don't need to buy the 1,000 leads a month anymore. Maybe it's only 800. But over time, as you turn on other marketing channels and start to do some of this stuff for yourself, you can potentially win yourself down to, hey, we're buying half the leads as we used to a year ago or 6 months ago, because now we're capturing and generating our own leads. And again, The quality is much better. And the consumer now sees, and think about this. When I give my money to Bankrate, people see Bankrate's on the Google searches, their logos on this and that, they're all over the place. I'm in this mystery mortgage guy in the background, just buying data. I don't get the chance to take that money to propel myself and my branding and my company's name and recognition to the forefront, where now they see First Option, they see Fabi, they see my picture, they see my logo, they recognize me. Now there's so many more people, because we're doing our own marketing and lead gen, actually just Googling our company's name, which is some of the best clicks and lowest cost clicks you can get, is when they just type in First Option Mortgage Baltimore or whatever it is. And now they're actually looking for you because you've created that brand awareness. But when we're just giving our money to LendingTree or one of these middleman companies, it's them that takes the spotlight, and you're just the shadow person in the background.
See, I think we can steal a little page out of Alex from Sales Boomerang's little hashtag where he says no buyer left behind. I think you need a hashtag that says no lead left behind.
There you go. I like it. No lead left behind.
Brother. That's what we need, brother. See, because the missed opportunities are the leads being left behind. I'll call Alex. I'm supposed to call him tomorrow. I'm going to say, hey, I gave Andrew your idea. Chill, brother.
No, yeah, my hashtag now, Alex. But so our little slogan, our little tagline is "Take back your leads for whatever it's worth." It's the idea is, hey, they're all trying to steal your clients from you. We're coming in. We're going to educate you on how they're doing it, and we're going to bring the right tools and strategies for you to basically fight back, because everybody's trying to take your clients from you, whether you know it or not. That's what's happening, right? They're wedging themselves between you and your client, and then they're selling you a lead you could have generated yourself and closed yourself, but now you got to go through Zillow to get that lead.
Plus, everybody else is competing for that same lead, because one of the things that is absolutely clear to me in the CD model is we don't know where that buyer also has sent his information. So maybe they've gone to 3-4 different websites.
Yeah.
So where somebody says, "Oh, you get exclusive leads from us," well, yeah, this is exclusive for your landing page. It's not exclusive for the buyer, and so I always feel like organic leads coming through my website, at least there's a little bit more of exclusivity. Maybe, I don't know, but I think so.
There's no telling where they went before or where they'll go after, especially if you wait too long to follow up, right? So that speed to lead is absolutely critical. So even if you were on some other website prior and you put in your information, can't really help what happens after you've done that. But once you hit my page, if I have the right follow-up mechanisms in place, if I have something like a bomb video or a video on my thank you page, like think about this. I filled out your lead form. I answered 20 questions. I go to a thank you page, standard mechanism of every landing page out there. I fill something out. It takes me to the next screen. That next screen could be Fabi on video saying, "Hello, welcome. Thank you so much for taking the time to fill that out. I'm the one that's actually going to be following up with you personally.
Nice.
In fact, check your phone. It might be ringing. That's probably me. Go ahead and answer it." All this cool stuff you can do, or now you can introduce yourself to your client and start that process of kind of taking that customer through the journey with you. Things you can do when it's your own marketing and your own lead generation that you can't do with a company like Zillow or Bankrate when you're buying the data.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So let's talk. We're coming up at the end here. So I want to ask 2 more questions. I think that they're critical for me, right? Is the future of the mortgage industry. There's a lot of murmur about this, right? And when you talk to as many people as I do, right? I mean, everyone seems to be saying the same thing, but in their own way, right? That if you're not tech savvy loan officer, the sun is set. Like, it's not setting, it's set. Like, you've got to have some tech under your belt today in order to survive in the mortgage business. Now, there is a group that says, do organic, do your grassroots stuff. You'll be fine with your referral base. I'm seeing something else happening, and it's interesting that you actually cater to realtors. I'm seeing the realtors kind of disappear in a really strange way, right? They're almost like Uber drivers for Zillow, based on the ratings and all that kind of stuff. And then you got this other Redfin and some other tech real estate companies coming in. So they become transactional, where the retail loan officer always, like guys like me, right? Like I said, smoking cigars, take them out to play golf, tell some dirty jokes, get some business. Those relationships may or may not work in the future because it becomes transactional, not relationship based. Where does the loan officer of the future, I mean, how do we survive as a mortgage loan officer and not become like the travel agent, what happened to the travel agent in about 15, 20 years ago?
Great question. My take is slanted towards, in a way, what I do. Obviously, I find what we do to be incredibly important, in that a loan officer needs to be able to source their own leads. They need to be able to find their own clients. They cannot be reliant on their company buying leads from a middleman. They cannot be reliant on real estate agents. Like, hey, have some good relationships, but I hope that if you closed 5 deals last month, those 5 deals did not all come from outside sources like real estate agents referring you clients. Because guess what happens when a savvy loan officer calls up one of your good realtors who really likes you? Bobby tells great jokes, smokes good cigars. I like the guy, but a loan officer called me up with a pretty compelling pitch on how that loan officer can actually help me generate business. And I like Fabi, good guy, but at the same time, what is this LO, or what are these people doing to actually help me grow my business? And usually there's not a whole lot happening there. So as long as the realtors are in a position to refer clients to you, and their role as it is today exists, it is important for LOs to understand how to get to the consumer first and how to convert that consumer early in their decision-making process, ideally before a realtor connects with them, because now the loan officer is the one who can say, hey, I've got a good client. I got them pre-qualified. They're looking to buy. Here's the area they're looking in. I want to connect them with a good realtor in that market. Let's have a conversation. And I do a lot of this consumer direct marketing. I'm not one of these loan officers running around expecting you to refer me clients, never referring business back out to you. It blows my mind that there's loan officers who still practice that model where it's you referring them clients and they never reciprocate. We do things very differently. I'd love to have a coffee with you and kind of meet with you. There's this known fact that LOs and realtors have this relationship where it's typically a power dynamic with the realtors get the leads. The loan officers have to run around and pay for their Zillow or try to like always wow them. Realtors aren't all that loyal. That creates, when you're on the offense, an opportunity for you as a loan officer, not on the defense trying to retain your realtors, but as an opportunity to go out and create new loan officer realtor relationships with something of value to bring to the table. So I think the better equipped a loan officer is to generate leads, to understand marketing, to not have to rely on an outside source to get business, the more valuable they will remain to mortgage companies and for themselves to stay in business and not get replaced by tech. Like all this back end processing, super cool loan applications that are existing that automate a lot of that back end process. Phenomenal. You still have to pull clients into that funnel to get them into that loan application. And the loan officers that are able to do that and are good at that and have created a name for themselves at the local level, I think will be doing well for years to come.
I think we're all saying the same thing right now, man. That's what I'm hearing over and over again. And I know I'm not in an echo chamber because I try to go out and talk to people who aren't in that echo chamber to make sure. And they're all saying the same thing over and over again. So back to Leadpops. I mean, you got 10 years behind you now, fast forward, Andrew, 10 years from today. You know what I mean? I'm sure as intense as you are, brother, because you're pretty intense. I mean, you've got to have some kind of vision of where you are come 2031, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Share that with us, man. Come on.
Yeah. So continue to grow the offering, go deeper into lead conversion, lead generation, data, understanding, lead score, lead quality, likeliness to close, how to bet, if I got 100 leads, which are like the 2 or 3 I need to be really following up with because their likeliness to close is X and it's much better than some of these others. So just using AI data to kind of do a better job of not just, hey, here's 100 leads, work them, but understanding which are some of the better opportunities, building out automations and also getting into some additional verticals, because what we do makes a lot of sense in not just the mortgage space. There's a lot of crossover and carryover in what we do to kind of create the same blueprint as what we're doing in mortgage and other verticals that, again, the same kind of laws and same principles apply. So expansion, better offerings, going deeper on lead conversion, making sure clients are closing the leads that they're getting. And one day, sell the company and ride off into the sunset. Well, I'm not going to lie. That's what everyone's trying to do. Create something awesome and then ride off into the sunset before the robots replace all of us, because that's happening, whether we like it or not.
You use the word AI, man. Unfortunately, that sparks one question I just got asked, because I know everyone says it's artificial intelligence, right? But Sue Woodard quoted something on the show one time that was just so amazing. And I wonder if it applies to you, because what you're talking about is she called it artificial intuition.
Okay.
Right? Where you're able to actually say, I got 100 leads, and out of these, 27 of them are going to be really, really good fob. You know what I mean? Yeah. And 50, because based on these parameters, is that what you're looking at nowadays? Yeah. Those kind of variables?
100%, 100%. Different ways that you can match data sources with what you've got, and different things that you can understand about their behaviors and what they were doing online prior to filling out your form, to be able to say, oh, ding, 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 this person's a hot person to follow up with. And can we use the system to automatically trigger some of that follow-up and do some things on behalf of the loan officer better than they would be doing on their own. So it's kind of building that kind of infrastructure out is something I'm very interested in. We're currently working on doing.
Yeah, it just feels like technology is becoming more intuitive, and being able to pull that into our business is the next the next evolution. But not only for us, but I'm sure for every other industry as well. But Andrew, thank you so much for your time of coming out, man. I know it's early in the morning in San Diego, but obviously you're well into your 4th or 5th hour of the morning. I wish I was out in San Diego instead of being stuck in this humid weather in DC, but I'm not. But thank you so much for your time, brother. All right?
Dude, awesome time, Bobby. Appreciate you, and thanks for having me on.
All right, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of Laugh, Lend, and Eat, the podcast. You can now enjoy Bobby's article, Laugh, Lend, and Eat, featured in the Vision magazine. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, where each month, we are giving away some swag for our lucky listener to show off. Thank you to our sponsors for their continued support, First Option Mortgage and One Good One Recruiting. And remember, you have to be something, so be kind.